This is Ethan, and I'm here with Dave, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 105-inch.
On this week's episode, the exciting conclusion of our interview with drummer, author, and historian John Bermuda Schwartz, where he shares more rare clips and insights from Weird Al's career.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Hey, welcome to season 3, Dave.
Thank you! How was your time off after the exciting season 2 finale?
Oh, it was great. You know, maybe though next season we can work in more than a 13.5-minute break between seasons.
Well, if we have a really good season 3, I don't see why we can't double that break for next year.
Sounds great. Well, Dave, are you excited for this weekend?
I sure am, Cooney. I cannot wait until our big, exciting 2-year anniversary celebration, including that incredible concert with Trevor Strong of the Arrogant Worms.
Well, you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer, but not too much longer, because that concert is this Saturday, May 8th, our actual 2-year podcast anniversary.
And it promises to be pretty stinking majestic. It might just be the podcast social event of the year.
Now, Trevor will be performing some incredible songs, including some Arrogant Worm songs, cover versions of Weird Al songs, and maybe even a few surprises.
Surprises!
And Trevor plans to stick around after the concert to chat and answer questions with us.
Oh, that is so awesome. This virtual event is open only to our Patreon supporters, so there's no better time to join Patreon than right now.
You can join now by visiting patreon.com/2000inch for access to the exclusive concert and more.
Now, our intern Frank, he tells us that he will be sending out the exclusive link very soon. So if you have not let Frank know that you plan to attend, please do so now by emailing him at frank@2000inch.com so that you do not miss out.
And our Patreon supporters know this, but just released Black and White and Weird All Over bonus episode 2 centimeter, the second episode in our bonus series with John Bermuda Schwartz, where we go through his book Black and White and Weird All Over page by page in exhaustive detail, is available now for our Patreon supporters.
These first 2 episodes take you through the end of chapter 1, the Ricky video shoot. New Black and White and Weird All Over bonus centimeter episodes will always air first for our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/2000inch.
So there's yet another reason to join our Patreon family. If you've been on the fence, hop on over now.
Not only will you get to celebrate our upcoming 2-year anniversary in style and get early access to every bonus episode, but you will feel good knowing that you will be supporting the podcast and get all the other perks that being a member of our Patreon family entails.
Over in our Facebook group, group.2000inch.com, an interesting question was brought up. How come the Black and White and Weird All Over bonus series is starting at 1 centimeter and not picking up at 28 centimeter?
Wow, our listeners must have an awful lot of free time on their hands.
I'll say. Of course, all episode numbering is done by our intern, Frank. Dave, you and I, we're not involved.
Yeah, Frank was saying something about how it starts at 1 centimeter because it's a new bonus episode series or something like that. I don't know. I really wasn't paying attention.
Oh, totally understandable. I tend to tune out our intern, Frank, whenever he starts talking too. From what I understand, our strings attached bonus episodes ended at 27 centimeter, but if for some reason we ever released another one in that series, it would be strings attached bonus episode 28 centimeter. And if Weird Al were to do another strings attached tour in 2022, and we did bonus episodes about it, that would start at bonus episode 1 centimeter because it's a different series, unless, of course, in time travel.
Oh, thank gosh. I mean, oh wow! It sounds like we have received a message on the 347 Spatula Hotline. The 347 Spatula Hotline, the official hotline of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, is sponsored by Angel Valenzuela and David Cash, two amazing Weird Al fans and podcast supporters. All right, Frank, let's take a listen to this voicemail.
Hey, Dave and Ethan, it's your pal Dana B. Tomorrow is May 6th, which is a very important day because on May 6th, 1997, when Al's close personal friend Hanson, whose 1998 music video for their song River was directed and features a cameo by Al, and whose 2010 music video for their song Thinking About Something also includes an appearance by Al, released their debut album Middle of Nowhere on May 6th, 1997. That very day was declared by the mayor of Tulsa, Oklahoma as Hanson Day and is commemorated annually by Hanson fans across the world. In my opinion, Hanson Day is just as important a holiday as Valentine's Day and Al's birthday. Gee, I wish I had some of the Hops beer and a 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla burrito to celebrate with. And I think we need to get Isaac Taylor and Zach on the podcast. More importantly, I wanted to wish you both a very happy 2-year podcast anniversary. Because without Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, I wouldn't have anything to talk about with my clients at work. For those who are listening and don't know, I'm a hairstylist, and I hope none of my clients ever express the same sentiment Al did in Lousy Haircut. I only hope to aspire to the prestige of Al's personal hairstylist and makeup artist, episode 35-inch guest, Sean James. So from me to you, happy Hanson Day and happy 2-year podcast anniversary. Tell Frank to get you in touch with Hanson already.
Wow, thank you, Dana. Happy Hanson Day. We are big fans of Isaac Taylor and Zach and all their work with Weird Al.
We are so glad that you enjoy the podcast, Dana, and thank you for spreading the word of the podcast to all of your clients.
And maybe one day, you too can try one of those amazing 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla burritos at Burrito. This week's episode is brought to you in part by vegan burrito restaurant Burrito in Troy, New York, home of the 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla burrito, and Wizard Burger in Albany, New York. Come on down to Burrito and Burrito your Burrito, or hop on over to Wizard Burger for mouth-watering, loaded, dare I say beefy, vegan burgers. From Troy to Albany to Uranus, Burrito and Wizard Burger feed the hungry with out-of-this-world, plant-based, real food, always vegan style. Visit burritosquared.com or wizardburger.com and order ahead.
Wait, Ethan, is this a new Burrito ad?
New season, new ad.
All right, that makes sense.
And I have big news.
But we're not in our Weird Al related news segment yet.
Well, I suppose it's not exactly Weird Al related news. It's more news about me and Burrito.
That counts, Ethan. And now, this week in Weird Al related news. All right, Ethan, what is the big news?
Jeez, well, it's not that big a news.
Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to... This is a Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast world exclusive.
Right. I recorded a radio ad for Burrito. It will be airing soon.
Oh, awesome! Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
You heard it here first. Ethan Ullman of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast is the official voice of Burrito, vegan burrito restaurant in Troy, New York. Watch out, New York's capital region. Ethan and Burrito are coming for you!
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really honored.
Speech.
27 years ago, when I became a vegetarian, I dreamt of one thing, one goal, and that was to be the voice of Burrito. We can save my speech for next week. Now, yesterday was May the 4th, Star Wars Day. As soon as I woke up, I ran to Disney Plus and I searched for Star Wars Detours, and it wasn't there.
Well, as reported by John Schwartz at bubbleblabber.com, and no, not that John Schwartz, Star Wars Detours is not coming to Disney Plus at this time.
Such a shame. I was really looking forward to seeing that series, and of course, seeing if Weird Al shows up in any other episodes. I guess I'll just have to keep rewatching that leaked episode.
Well, this is really awesome because we want to tell you about an incredible Kickstarter that fans of our podcast will absolutely love.
Yes, that's right. Past guest Jonah Ray and the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys are running a Kickstarter to make another season of the series.
Now, they've already hit their minimum, but they can still use your help to fund a full 12 episodes.
Now, the Kickstarter ends on Friday, so make sure to get your pledge in ASAP.
But that is not all. Ethan, there is another incredible Kickstarter that we just have to tell our listeners all about.
Yes! Oh man, I'm so excited. MC Lars, our guest from episode 6-inch, has a Kickstarter project seeking funding to create his most personal album to date.
The album is called Fear of a Blockchain Planet, and while the project is more than funded, we know that you would want to know so that you can pick up the album and some of the other incredible perks, like the music he recorded in high school that has never been available before.
That is such awesome news. Now, we know that MC Lars is a huge fan of Weird Al, and he's recorded with him in the past. I am so excited to see him get such great support from his fans for this new album.
Oh yeah, that album is going to be so cool. And actually, MC Lars is not the only one of our past guests with a new album coming out soon. Episode 34-inch guest, Chad Kelson, aka Metal Al, has a brand new album too.
The brand new album from Metal Al drops on Friday, May 7th. That is this Friday. And the album is called The Parody Album. And so far, he's released one single, one video, Smells Like Nirvana. That dropped last week. But man, Dave, I wish I knew what some of these other songs were.
I just gotta say, Smells Like Nirvana, that's not a secret that is my favorite song. So it was great to see that video. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm really curious because this album is all parodies. So what else is on it?
Man, I wish we could just ask Metal Al himself.
Hey guys, you're talking about me, right, Metal Al?
Oh, I forgot you were on the line.
Hi.
Oh, hey, Metal Al.
It's international recording artist, Metal Al.
Well, hey, welcome back to the podcast, Metal Al.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here because we had a lot of questions about your brand new album, the Parody Album. So first off, let me ask, how did you come up with the idea for doing all parodies this time?
It was actually after the last album came out, Straight Outta Hell. I showed it to my brother, who is a Weird Al fan by proxy because of me. So he's gone to concerts with me, and he knows all the hits. But these last few albums, I've been doing a lot of deep cuts because I never really planned on doing parody albums. So when I showed him the last album, he was like, "Oh, this sounds great, but unfortunately, I just don't really know these songs." And my first thought was like, well, then go learn the songs. But then I was like, well, maybe he's not the only one. Maybe other people would want to hear a metal version of the hits, all the parodies. So I decided to give it a try. This is what happened.
And I think you nailed it. I mean, yes, you had done, I think, one parody before. The first EP, Dare to Be Metal, you had Eat It on there. And you actually have Eat It again on this album, but you do it a bit differently. Can you tell us about that?
The reason I put Eat It on that first album was because I already knew how to play the song, so I didn't have to learn it. But it was the second song I ever recorded as Metal Al, back when I wasn't quite sure what it was that I was doing. So when I listen to it now, I'm like, I could do so much better with it. So I just wanted to give it an updated version now that I'm kind of know what I'm doing with this project.
Well, so in the new one, it is part of, you have two of these like combination songs. I don't know if I'd even call it a medley. It's just like you have Eat It and Fat in the same track. So it's 12 tracks, but really there is 14 or arguably 15 songs on the album.
Yeah, I wanted to do Fat, but the song is kind of the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So I thought the two would work well together.
And they really do. It's really great to hear them together.
Metal Al, can you tell us a little bit about the cover art for this album?
Yeah, the cover art, the parody album is a parody of the TV album. So I wanted to do a pretty close caricature of myself in the same pose that Weird Al is in his cover of the TV album. So yeah, I drew that with color pencils. I used color pencils to create that image.
Colored pencils are very metal.
Very metal. They were metal color pencils.
Oh, they look great.
It looks great. It's a spot-on parody of the TV album, so great job there.
Thank you.
Now, we mentioned the Smells Like Nirvana video. What can you tell us about that? It's all like retro toy and junk food commercials. It brought back my childhood as I was watching it.
I just wanted to do a lot of 90s commercials that I remember when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I also realized that 90s commercials, there's a lot of quick cuts, which kind of work for metal music. So
Perfect.
that's how that came about. Yeah.
I gotta know, are physical copies coming? I know if you head over to the Bandcamp, they're all sold out. I'm so glad I bought mine early.
Yes, there's going to be physical copies. There will be a week of pre-orders starting Friday. And then once the week's up, I will get the shipment in and then mail it out to everyone.
Awesome.
Well, this album's got a lot of great songs on it, a lot of the great singles that everyone is going to recognize, especially your brother. Amish Paradise, another one, Rides the Bus, I Think I'm a Clone Now, I Lost on Jeopardy, so many more. It is really great. And I understand that you actually brought one of your songs with you to debut on our podcast.
I did, yes.
Cool. Which song did you bring?
I decided to show you guys Another One Rides the Bus because it's such a big anniversary year for that song.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, before we have the world premiere of Metal Al's Another One Rides the Bus, I want to urge everyone to check out the parody album. It drops on Friday. You can get your copies at metaal.bandcamp.com. And of course, you can follow Metal Al and all of his amazing music and videos and updates by heading over to facebook.com/metalalmusic, or for anyone who needs to hear it the correct way, Metal Al Music on Facebook.
Here's Another One Rides the Bus. In the back.
Well, there it is, another world premiere on Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. Thank you, Chad Kelson, a.k.a. Metal Al, for joining us.
Dave, I have a feeling that won't be the last world premiere we will be hearing this episode.
You know, Ethan, I think you might be right. We are very excited to air our conclusion to last week's interview with the legendary John Bermuda Schwartz.
Now, Bermuda has been very generous with his contributions to our podcast. Not only has he joined us for several interviews about his career working with Weird Al, some of his most memorable appearances have also featured rare Weird Al clips from his massive audio archive.
Now, sometimes these clips are from live performances, outtakes, hard-to-find audio, and sometimes they're even world premieres of unreleased audio.
For anyone who wants to re-listen to the past rare Weird Al audio episodes, those were episode 27-inch, episode 82-inch, episode 83-inch, and of course, last week's episode 104-inch.
All right, Ethan, let's pick up with the exciting conclusion to the interview already in progress.
Now, this next clip is a really unique one. This is something that, you know, collectors like Dave and I are always looking for the physical copy of, and this is Al's recording for the week of welcome at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Welcome to Cal Poly! Hi, this is Weird Al, and I'd like to spend a few minutes with you and tell you a little bit about Week of Welcome at Cal Poly. As a newly accepted student at Cal Poly, we'd like to invite you to participate in the 1980 Week of Welcome program. WOW is an all-volunteer organization and is well known as the largest and best in the entire nation. We've found that students who participate in WOW have a 3 to 4 times greater chance of staying in school. You can't beat those odds. Well-trained counselors will be on hand to make you feel at home by helping to orient you to your new home away from home. Cal Poly has long been known as a friendly university which readily welcomes visitors to its campus. Poly has an enrollment of 15,000 students, among which are people of all backgrounds, nationalities, and interests. Cal Poly is the largest state university in the CSUC system. The campus consists of over 5,000 acres, yet the central core is only 374 acres. It's nestled in the mountains, adjacent to San Luis Obispo. San Luis Obispo is a community of 35,000 located on U.S. Highway 101, midway between San Francisco and Los Angeles. It consists of 7 schools with 56 departments. It has the largest architecture department and the 4th largest school of agriculture in the entire nation. I can't stand this music! It's much better. When you arrive at Cal Poly, you're going to be, for the most part, in unfamiliar surroundings. It's kind of nice to know where your classes are the first day, not to mention what classes you have. That's what the WOW counselors are here for. Naturally, a few problems are going to crop up. For example, you might want to know where Building 52 is, or who do you see about your scholarship. You may like sports, but you don't feel you're good enough for intercollegiate sports, and you'd like to know about intramurals. Perhaps you might be coming to Cal Poly on the EOP program, and you don't know where the office is located. And you may have lost some units in transferring from your junior college, and you want to know what you can do about it. Maybe one of your friends told you to take English credit, no credit, and you don't even know what that means. Answering these questions and more is what WOW is all about, helping you get a head start in becoming acquainted with university life at Cal Poly. Wow! Hey! Isn't that exciting? When WOW begins, you'll be put in a small group of about 20 new students, with 2 student counselors included in each group. We found that this is the most efficient and personal way to get to know you and help you learn about the university and the surrounding area. But most importantly, you'll have the chance to develop new friendships. WOW has a lot to offer you in the way of social activities, such as a dance, and we also provide 8 meals. You'll be given the opportunity to become acquainted with the campus layout and all the things it has to offer, as well as the surrounding community. During WOW, you'll be meeting with your department heads and advisors and have all of your questions and problems with computer-assisted registration taken care of.
What? Hey, yeah!
On the social side, Cal Poly has over 250 clubs and organizations that include student government, music clubs, fraternities, sororities, academically related organizations, intramural athletics, ethnic group clubs, and other special interest groups within your major. WOW will let you find out all about the organizations you're interested in during an evening called University Union Night. Since the primary goal on any campus is education, we'll introduce you to a place called the Learning Assistance Center, where you can take a class in effective study techniques and other great programs, such as test-taking tips and panic study sessions. There are lots of people here at Cal Poly who'd like to help you, including the Career Development Center, the Health Center, Financial Aid, Educational Opportunity Office, the Job Placement Center, Disabled Student Services, the Activities Planning Center, and the newly built Robert E. Kennedy Library. All you have to do to attend a week of welcome is fill out the registration form on the record jacket and send it in to us. Cal Poly will be waiting for you in September, and WOW will welcome you and help you make new friends. We want you to have a great career here at Cal Poly. So we'll see you this fall on Sunday, September the 14th. Come join us.
So that was an orientation, part of an orientation package. It was a little record, a flexi disc, a little flexible, clear record. And that was the orientation for Cal Poly San Luis Obispo for what they called the Week of Welcome, which was an orientation week, at the school. Al was involved in, he also did that version was for 1980. And Al also did the 1979 version. And he also was involved in the 1978 version. But what's cool about this version in 1980 is he references the beginning date of the Week of Welcome is Sunday, September 14th, 1980. That's the night I met Al.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's kind of a cool thing.
That is very cool. This clip, I mean, it's certainly out there. People have been able to listen to it before, but I think it's a really unique thing, especially to hear all together. You could hear, Al's sensibility and the comedic stuff in there is just so great. And one thing I noticed is at one point you hear gunshots, and I think I don't think anyone would have thought 40 years in the future that would be something you can't have in a promotional item for a university or a school.
Yeah. That a lot of things that a lot of people did back in the day, don't really fly anymore, or through a series of tragedies became not that funny.
Yeah.
If Spike Jonze were still around, I don't know what he'd be doing.
Right.
He'd
Right.
I don't know, half of his act would go out the window, without some gunshots. But it was wacky, and that's what Al was known for. I mean, at that point he was Weird Al Yankovic, at the school, and on the Dr. Demento show too. So I'm pretty sure this whole thing is on YouTube somewhere. I know the 1979 version is on YouTube as well, and that's just a nice little tidbit. But what's cool about that is he actually mentions the date. Not having any idea that we were going to meet, but he does mention that date at the end of this, and that's pretty cool. That was a very cool thing. And Al was still at school at the time. He still had, I think, one more semester to go. So he was back at school at that point when I met him, he had come up from school, and was heading back the next day.
Now, to track down one of these, Ethan mentioned, this is one of the holy grails, these flexi discs for any Weird Al collector. Do you have any idea how many of these flexi discs were produced? I imagine they were only intended for incoming students, so probably not too many.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's 10,000 or 20,000 or 6,000, or I have no idea. I can tell you that it's not as rare as the Placebo EP, but I can also tell you that the people that got that record, it's very unlikely that many of them kept it. I mean, that wasn't considered a Weird Al record.
Right.
That was just part of a package, and once they got past their week or whatever, they probably tossed it out. And so there's probably, like 90% of them are in a dump somewhere, and and the other handful are out there with people who are either hoarders, who just really kept everything that had to do with school, or may possibly have known who Al was at the time. I mean, it's conceivable that someone, at college age, would have been hip to Dr. Demento and been aware of who Al is. So there's a certain handful that would have kept that, So there's a few out there. I've got one. I've only seen ever one copy, and you're gonna have to pry that from my. Well, a little money would help.
Yeah.
But that would be hard to get away from me.
And is that something that Al has in his personal collection?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Another thing that's really interesting about this is the harmonizing, chorus ending in the yeah, which of course was then used in Amish Paradise. I thought that was a really cool thing that Al carried over from this.
Ah, interesting. You know what? Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Wow. See, that's something when you interview Al on a 2,000-inch episode, you get to ask him about that.
Right.
One, see if he remembers it, and then two, you may have to play them both.
Right.
And get him to fess up.
We'll put it on our long list of things to ask Al when we eventually do have him on the podcast.
In 30 years.
Well, it's very cool to hear the Week of Welcome 1980 flexi disc in its entirety. Thank you for bringing that clip with you.
You are welcome.
And we have another clip. I'm not exactly sure what this is, but it sounds like it could be like some kind of wedding march or something. Let's play it now.
So the song sounds familiar. What is this from, Bermuda?
That was the bridal chorus that traditionally gets played at weddings as the, also known as "Here Comes the Bride." Here comes the bride. Something, something, the bride. You're the bride, aren't you? Yes, I'm the bride. I am the bride, all dressed in white.
We usually don't hear that on accordion. Why was this recorded on accordion?
Oh boy, back in the day, I asked Al to record the bridal chorus for a friend of mine's wedding. I just thought that would be cool. This was for like 1982. This was May of 1982. Mm-hmm. And back in the day, I could ask Al if he would do something. He'd go, okay. It would cost me like $10,000 now to get him to do that, if he would even do it. But back then, I probably bought him lunch.
Yeah.
And he recorded the bridal chorus, a long bridal, the entire thing. I mean, there's a whole arrangement to this, and he double tracked it. I mean, it's in stereo basically, and very kindly did that for me, and it was played at the friend of mine's wedding, and who I should add that his marriage did not last very long. So I don't know if that had anything to do with the music that was played there, but I can tell you that only like 3 people, and some of the people that were at the wedding party, that just literally a handful of people have heard this ever.
Wow.
And now more thanks to you and putting it out there. That's what Al did, as a favor for me and my friend, way back when, before there were contracts and record labels and and going into real studios. He recorded that I think in his apartment, and that was in the Galemore building.
Ah, okay.
He lived. That's another show. We'll do a show on the Galemore building. Okay. That was recorded on his Porta studio in the Galemore building while I stood there and, made sure he got it right.
This was just a short clip. How long is the full bridal chorus?
It's probably 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, it was a long piece.
Yeah.
I think it was longer than actually got used. And then he did I should have included there's a very funny kind of an accordion, like a groan, like a that he did at the end. Da 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 da. I think I cut that off the tape, the cassette tape that I gave to my friend, but because it's like, that's really, this sweet, nice, kind of bizarre that it's on accordion, but I guess, maybe it sounded like an organ to a lot of people. And then to hear this horrible sound at the end, Anyway.
Was your friend a big Weird Al fan? Was that the reason for that?
Well, he was hip to Al. He was aware of Al. He came to see us do a show in mid-1981 and at Knott's Berry Farm. And he had taken pictures of us. I mean, a bunch of pictures that I used on WeirdAl.com at the time. Early live shots, because we didn't have that many live shows to go off of. So it was pretty cool. And which he eventually turned over the negatives to me. I mean, those are. I can write a book. I could do pictures of. Got like 2 rolls of film of just that show. So pretty fun stuff. But and he's seen us a few times over the year. But no, I mean that was a really extra cool thing for him to do. I'm surprised Al didn't ask to go to the wedding, and get a free meal.
Right.
That would have been kind of cool. Well, I went to the wedding and got a free meal, so why shouldn't Al?
So this was recorded. Was it ever used on your wedding, Al's wedding, anyone else's wedding?
No. This was it was a one-shot deal, and honestly, I'm sure, and it was done very well. I mean, it was played very well. I'm sure if Al were to want to do something like that, he would re-record it, and have it be like maybe this was 98%, and he would want it recorded 100%, perfect. So he would, if he was going to try and do that, he would certainly re-record it. But on the other hand, if we did want to use it, I think we could use this old one, and I would just have to pay him $1 million.
Yeah, I had Elvis perform at my wedding with Jackie, but I almost want to get married again to Jackie and have this bridal song used as our wedding march.
Well, you can get married again. You can have another ceremony and do on your 25th anniversary or your 16th anniversary or whatever you'd like, and you're welcome to use that. You can loop that clip and for as long as it takes to walk down the aisle. There is actually there's a bridge part to the song as well, but then it just goes over and over and over.
Yeah.
And it just like ad nauseum, or until you're nauseated, I think is Latin for until you are nauseated.
Oh, I love it. When we renew our vows, we're definitely going to use this clip.
I'll just put this out there, Dave. For the record, I am an ordained minister, so if you want to do it again, I can I can officiate.
Well, I knew there was something holy about you. Wow. Okay, guys, I got it. I got it for you. We were talking about that Jim West thing on Money for Nothing, I think. I've got it. I've got the tape for you.
Cool. Well, let's hit play.
Looky here, people, listen to my story. A little story about a man named Jed. Something that poor mountaineer. They say he barely kept his family fed.
Wow.
There are two things about that. I mean, we cut out the middle of it to cut to the chase there at the end. But 2 things about that. One, that was now on the version that was released on the UHF album. That was actually Mark Knopfler playing on the released version, and also his keyboardist Guy Fletcher, who is still with him today. From the Straits. But that was the version. That was the first. The original track with Jim playing the part. Now, what's cool about that is Jim obviously listened to the original Money for Nothing, Dire Straits, and copped that part. He copped it very, very, very well. Well, by the time we recorded the song, and got Mark Knopfler on board, who said, I'll play guitar on it if you'd like. What's Al going to say? Oh no, we've got our guy doing it. It's okay. Don't you worry about a thing. You just say yes to the permission, and then we'll be okay. We'll send you a record later. No, he when Mark sort of volunteered to do it, what Al said, well, yeah, that'd be great. So now Mark had already been playing the song for a couple of years on the road, and parts get massaged a little bit, and when it's your own song, sometimes you take it in a little bit of a different direction, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So he was sort of aware that he needed to play it like the original record, but I don't know how closely he studied it, because by the time you listen to the final version with Mark playing on it, it's noticeably different than the original Money for Nothing, and then what Jim did on this clip that we just heard. Jim was more tuned in with the original part, and Mark was a little bit strayed a bit. But it's Mark Knopfler. Are you going to tell him it's wrong? I mean, it was very cool to have him do that.
Right.
And if someone says, "Oh, you guys didn't get the exact part like Dire Straits did," you say, well, "That's Mark Knopfler." Call him up and you tell him he doesn't know how to play a song, and we'll give you your $3.99 back that you paid for the record. No, that's not. We never gave anybody any of their money back. Anyway, the other cool thing about that is now our song, the original Money for Nothing, and then our version fade out. Well, that's something done, when you're mixing the song. We don't play it as a fade out. We just have to play, and when we get past the point we know that it was going to be faded out, we just stop. And there's not really a plan. Sometimes it's just very abrupt. Like that was just sort of, I don't know, I guess maybe we looked at each other and sort of nodded, and it's like, okay, well, we'll just at the next opportunity, we'll just stop. We'll just stop playing. And that's what happened there. There's another thing, and actually that got used on one of the clips for my book, Black and White and Weird All Over, The Lost Photographs of Weird Al Yankovic, 1983 to 86, from 1984 publishing, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, or your favorite local bookstore, or blackandwhiteandweird.com. There's one of the teaser clips from the studio was us doing That Boy Could Dance. And the clip starts like near the end of the song, which on the record fades out. But that's one of those songs where, well, we have to, when we're recording it, we have to stop sometime, we have to just stop playing, and then go in and listen. So on that song, there was actually, I guess I did some sort of a little fill or a little figure or something. And I guess maybe we looked at each other and just sort of knew that we would be ending the song, and we'd been playing together long enough at that point, a couple of years, to work with each other well enough to make it sound almost musical. And the ending that we did on That Boy Could Dance, in the studio that nobody ever heard before, was the ending that we did on the No Frills tour when we played the song. Again, we can't fade it, in concert. We had to play an ending of some sort, and we used that ending that we had done in the studio that day. We didn't have to think about it. We knew what we were going to do. We had done it once, so we did it again and again and again. So that's the cool thing about, some of these clips is you get to hear things that never made it on the record. And in the case of Money for Nothing, that's how when we had finished playing the track and we knew that we had to stop, that's how we stopped. We just, kind of fizzled out.
I have a question about the song Money for Nothing, Beverly Hillbillies. I'm trying to think if I've ever heard it played live. Have you guys played it live?
We have played it live, and I believe it's always been in the medley. And I believe it kicked off the medley, and I don't remember if we ever did the entire song live.
Because I'm wondering if Jim does the original thing that he did, or does he do Mark Knopfler's take on it?
I would have to listen to it. I'd have to listen to a tape. Like I don't have any tapes of us playing it live or something. Like I don't have hundreds of tapes of us doing that. I'm going to say he plays it like it was on the original.
Yeah.
Because that's what's in his head.
Mm-hmm.
I would think, that's when you interview Jim, you should ask him and see if he can remember. He'll probably say, no, Bermuda's got some tapes, though. You can listen to those.
Bermuda will know.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to say Jim plays it like the original record, like the original Dire Straits version.
Well, very cool. Now, we got another one here, and I'm just going to play it, and we'll talk about it after we hear it.
This is take 2. Take 4. Take 6.
Now, what is this?
Wow. That was a real cacophony. No, what? Cacophony. Sorry. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't think we would need 6 takes to get that kind of noisy junk, but no, no, that wasn't bad enough. We have to do it again. No, that was still too good. No, we don't want it. So anyway, we did 6 takes of that. And We actually used take number 3, which was not included here. I mean, you can hear take number 3 on the album. You don't need me to bring that. But that was a secret track, just a little hidden thing. I think it was at the end of You Don't Love Me Anymore was at the end of the CD.
Yep.
And then like 12 minutes goes by or something like that. And then there's this noisy thing. And the idea was if you had your CD player on and you just let it run and it ran out and you were just sitting there and the album had ended and you didn't turn it off, that 10 minutes later, this thing would come on and you would jump out of your chair. Well, that was the idea. And so that was the point of that. And it had to be just this like loud, noisy, terrible, whatever. Pretty cool, huh?
So it was essentially improvised by you guys. Al was just be loud, be noisy, and you guys just kind of did what you wanted, and you just picked the one you liked the best?
Oh, yeah, the one we liked the worst, yeah. Yeah, it had to just be annoying, garbage, junk, as atonal, amusical as possible. And, I mean, they should have had me sing it in that case. But, yeah, that was affectionately known as Bite Me, and it wasn't a listed track on the album. I think it was actually listed on the box set, on the Squeeze Box collection. I think it probably got listed out as an actual track. I don't think they made like a 12-minute, You Don't Love Me Anymore, I think ended, and as soon as it ended, then Bite Me came on. I don't think they inserted that because you couldn't do that on the LP. Now, right. When Off the Deep End came out in the first place, there wasn't an LP. There wasn't a concern about what to do on the second side and how to insert 10 minutes of silence, which wouldn't have fit.
Right.
That wasn't even a concern. But in pressing LPs for the box set, that was a concern, and I think they just went ahead, even on the CD, I think they went ahead and they just put it like as the 12th track. And so now you can get right to it, and now you may still be surprised, but you don't have to wait 10 minutes for the surprise.
And it doesn't appear on any of the cassette versions, correct?
You know what? I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so.
That would be really obnoxious. 10 minutes of just blank cassette tape going by, and then for a 3-second clip. And I think that, unless I'm mistaken, I think that the 10 minutes of silence is included on the Squeeze Box set, on the CD version at least.
Oh well, I honestly I haven't listened to it. I'm just. That would have taken a concerted effort then on the engineer's part. You know what? It's possible they did. I would have to open up a box and see. I haven't even opened a box yet. They sent me a booklet so I could see what my work looked like, and then the rest of it is, yeah, I've heard this before. Al sent me pictures of what the box was going to look like. Yeah, I know what it is. That's okay. That's fine.
Well, all the songs on Squeeze Box are remasters because I remember they had to remaster the 10 minutes of silence.
Yes.
Which we probably got charged for. Okay, 10 minutes, that'll be $10,000. You want silence? $10,000.
Now, there's this information online that says in 2004 it was discovered that if Bite Me is slowed down to 1/8 speed and about 17 seconds in that reversed slowed down version, you can actually hear lyrics from David Holliday's Tears of the Earth. Is that anything that you're familiar with?
That sounds vaguely familiar, and that's funny that you mentioned David Halliday. David was one of the Scotties. He's a relative. He's like a son or a nephew of one of the Scotty brothers. Something like that. There's some sort. Maybe that's not right, but it's possible. And in that case, that would have been something that our engineer Tony Papa put in, because he would have been hip to that.
Just to add to the chaos.
But I think David Halliday was I believe he was a Scotty Brothers artist. So you know what? That's very possible. You know what? That sounds kind of familiar. Mm-hmm. I mean, that would have been done after I got after we did 6 takes of that, I think I went home. I went home sick. Yeah, you know what? It's possible. I wouldn't be surprised to have that thrown in there.
Yeah, just another little Easter egg that we have to find in the massive list.
Yeah. However, I will add that those 3 takes, that the 6 takes I have, are just the band. It's just us. That's not the final one that you heard on the record. So going back and hearing that, there could be more in it. So that's very possible. I'm going to have to listen to that now. Why? Wow. Why? Wow. Yeah.
The last clip that you brought, this is so exciting. I had no idea that this song had a full version. We're going to hear the full version of Let Me Be Your Hog.
Let me be your hog. Let me be your hog now. I said, baby, 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 baby.
Wow.
Wow.
Again, one of those endings that you don't get to hear on a record.
Wow.
Right, because on the record, it gets cut off with a record scratch right before you hear that ending bit. So this is like the full version.
Yep.
Wow.
There you go. Another great rarity from the archive.
Yes. That is so incredible.
Now, when you recorded that, did you know it was going to be cut off with a record scratch at the end, or did you think it was going to be a full song?
Well, no, we knew it was just a little short thing that was going to lead into, I think, She Drives Me Crazy. She Drives Like Crazy, I think, was what it goes into. No, we knew that it was just going to be edited and butted up against that. But we, again, in the studio, we had to find a way to just stop playing. You know, we don't just keep playing forever. We'd still be there. You know, there's a point where we just have to stop playing, and that was it. As abrupt as it and unmusical as it was, that's, you know, how we end things sometimes.
Is there a story behind, you know, the lyrics for Let Me Be Your Hog? I know, you know, a lot of people, myself included, find them quite inspirational.
I don't know. You know, again, so many questions for Al.
Yeah.
So much to learn. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what the impetus for that was.
Yeah. And so I guess this counts as a Weird Al original. Is there any, you know, did you take inspiration from any artists for the drums on it?
Not on this one. No.
No.
I don't remember. I don't remember what he told us it was supposed to sound like when we were working on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may have been something we actually just did in the studio, you know, and worked up in the studio. I don't know if there's actually a demo for that, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It would be easy enough to find out. I can check on my iPad and find out.
I'm curious, yeah.
I'm curious too. Let's see. Let me be your hog. That's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. L for let. Let me be your hog. Let me be your hog. Oh, no. Hold on. Let me be your hog. Oh, yeah. Huh. We absolutely. There was a demo for that, and it's an extended version.
Whoa. Even more extended.
There was a demo that we recorded almost 2 weeks before we went into the studio.
How long is it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
I would have to look at the file. I mean, it's not like 3 minutes,
Okay.
but it probably just goes on a little bit. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is indeed. We planned it, you know, to possibly be a little longer, to go a little long, but you know, knowing that it wasn't a full song.
Right. So great.
That's for the next show.
Such a treat to get to hear the full version of Let Me Be Your Hog. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yes, these are all so great. Thank you so much for coming back and sharing these really great gems with us.
Well, you are very welcome. It's nice for me to hear him again too. Okay, goodbye everyone. Goodbye.
Wow, what an incredible interview. John Bermuda Schwartz, thank you so much for sharing those amazing clips with us.
Yeah, those clips were so great. And how wonderful was it that we actually got to hear such a clean recording of the Week of Welcome flexi disc. Now, those Week of Welcome flexi discs, they're real collector's items. And like we said, not too many of them still exist. And they rarely, if ever, come up for sale. So it was really a treat to get to hear something like that in such great quality.
And how great was it that we got to world premiere the bridal chorus? I mean, except for, 40 or so people who were at the wedding.
Yeah, that makes me wonder, like, what else has Weird Al done like that nobody, not even us, the two biggest Weird Al fans ever, know about?
Oh, man. Well, hopefully there's more, and hopefully Bermuda has copies of it. I was so glad that our listeners can finally hear the Money for Nothing Beverly Hillbillies with Jim West on guitar. We've literally been talking about that recording since episode 1 Inch 2 years ago.
It was so great that our listeners and both of us finally got to hear that Money for Nothing Beverly Hillbillies asterisk with Jim Chemo West on guitar. And also, who knew that there were so many alternate versions to Bite Me?
I know, right? I guess I always just assumed what we know and love as Bite Me was just the version that they intended to do. But I think hearing all of them, I still prefer the one that made the album.
Now, you know what Weird Al needs to do? He needs to now put out additional versions of the Off the Deep End album where the only difference is which version of Bite Me is used. Ethan, you know you would buy it.
Oh, I would buy so many of those just to make sure I had the full set, and then I'd want to make sure I had sealed ones. Oh, it would be a huge pain, and I would love it.
Not to mention all the remastering of the different Bite Me versions that they would need to do for all the alternate squeeze box editions that they would have to put out as well. Oh, it would be a collector's dream.
And holy cow, or I should say holy hog, there's a full version of Let Me Be Your Hog, Dave.
I never even thought about it, but I guess it makes sense that they would have recorded beyond the record scratch to create that effect.
And not to mention, Bermuda says the demo version is even longer. I wonder if there's other lyrics, and I would love to hear that someday.
Well, I hope we live to see that day. So from all of us here at David Ethan's 2000 Weird Al podcast and all of our listeners, thank you to John Bermuda Schwartz for sharing these incredible, pretty, stinking, majestic clips with us.
Hey, Dave, are you .coms?
Am I what?
Are you .coms?
No, I'm not .coms. I'm Dave.
No. Are you .coms? It's a podcast.
Oh, you don't say?
I do say. Guess who hosts it?
Let's see. It's
all right. If you could pick one person in the entire world to host a podcast, who would you choose?
You mean besides the tarantula?
Yes, besides the tarantula.
Well, obviously it would have to be David Grant, a.k.a. Sheepdog, the author of The Ruins of Our Past, and the comedic rapper behind the MC Chalkskin persona, and also co-hosted by a potato.
Well, Dave, you're in luck.
I thought I was .coms.
RU.coms brings Potato and Sheepdog together with their own topics of the week. The catch? They don't know what the other's topic will be.
Wow, that sounds like a really fun podcast. Now, let me guess. You can get more information about it by heading over to wolfandwool.com.
Right you are.
I thought I was .coms.
This week's episode is brought to you in part by Discover Darwin, promoting tourism in Darwin, Minnesota. Not only is historic Darwin, Minnesota beautiful, it's also getting vaccinated.
Vaccines for the 2019 novel coronavirus are not available in Darwin, Minnesota.
But not to worry, if you live in Darwin, you are less than 5 miles away from a vaccine location.
How convenient.
It's just a hop, skip, and an attempted jump over to Walmart in Litchfield, Minnesota.
Wow, Walmart has everything.
That's right. Even if you're not in Darwin, Minnesota, you're probably still close to a location to getting a vaccine for COVID-19.
But if you need more information about that, you probably should be listening to a better source than a podcast about Weird Al.
Hey, I get all my news from our podcast. How else would I know which Kickstarters are worthy of my funding?
So visit Darwin, Minnesota on your next expedition. Discover Darwin, more than just a twine ball. And after you visit Darwin, Minnesota, be sure to visit discoverdarwin.biz.
Each week, we're able to bring you our podcast absolutely free, thanks to our sponsors Burrito Burrito, Angel Valenzuela and his son David Cash, Discover Darwin, Jackson Scoggins, David Grant, and thanks to our amazing close personal friend Patreon supporters Kenneth, Zeb, Allison, Blair, Jared, Javier, and Jeff, and thanks to our newest Patreon supporter Jeremy, and everyone else in our pretty stinking majestic Patreon family.
If you enjoy our family-friendly weekly Weird Al podcast, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/2000inch or by picking up some pretty stinking majestic official Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast merchandise, such as tank tops, pillows, towels, and hoodies over at shop.2000inch.com.
And remember, Patreon supporters, this Saturday, May 8th, is our 2-year anniversary concert starring Trevor Strong of the Arrogant Worms. If you're not a Patreon supporter yet and want to attend, what are you waiting for? Stop what you're doing and go over right now to patreon.com/2000inch and sign up immediately and reserve your spot.
You'll not only get access to our pretty stinking majestic anniversary party, but right now, Patreon supporters can also check out the Black and White and Weird All Over bonus episode 1 centimeter and bonus episode 2 centimeter, the first 2 episodes in our special book series where we sit down with this week's guest, John Bermuda Schwartz, and go page by page, picture by picture, inch by inch through his book, Black and White and Weird All Over. And Patreon supporters, you get to hear all bonus episodes early, so there's yet another reason to join our Patreon family if you have not already.
We love hearing from our listeners and other Weird Al fans. Join our Facebook community and post about Weird Al by visiting group.2000inch.com. And we also love it when we receive voicemail via our official 27-hour-a-day podcast hotline 347 Spatula. You might even hear your message on the show.
For everything about our podcast, including incredible past episodes and guests, be sure to visit WeirdAlPodcast.com or 2000inch.com and keep up on new episodes, podcast news, and events by following at 2000inch on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribing at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or the podcast app of your choice.
Thank you once again to our guest, John Bermuda Schwartz, as well as Chad Kelson, a.k.a. Metal Al, and Dana B. Thank you to the Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West for our incredible theme song, and thank you to Weird Al Yankovic, as this podcast probably would not exist without him. And a big thanks to all of you, our listeners, subscribers, Patreon supporters, and sponsors, and everyone else who makes our podcast possible.
Thank you for listening to Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, and always remember to gill and chill.
Hey Dave, when you and Jackie got married, was the bridal chorus performed on the accordion?
Oh, no, nothing tacky like that. I'll have you know that Jackie and I, we put a lot of care into making sure that we had a respectful and tasteful wedding.
Oh, what'd you do?
We got married in a nice little chapel in downtown Las Vegas by an Elvis Presley impersonator.
Wow, sounds fun.
It was, though that actually reminds me, do you still have our marriage certificate? We're gonna kind of need that back, you know.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 105-inch. This podcast is pretty stinking metal.
Here comes the bride. Something to the bride. You're the bride, aren't you? Yes, I'm the bride.